mean, to show you what a melting pot our country is there anything more American than a Japanese motorcycle that's named after a Mexican cowboy? God bless America. Woo! And yes, the answer is yes. Yes, you can. Yeah. I scraped the floorboard there. Let's not do that again. If you're a brand first, you know, I drive a Ford Raptor because it's the best. I ride a Harley because it's the best. My wife has big fake boobs because they're the best. Then no, this is not going to be your motorcycle. But if you're more practical, you know, then yeah, this is a bike you should definitely take a look at. If you're touring, motorcycles have gotten expensive. $25,000, $30,000, $35,000. Harleys, Indians, and even the Goldwing have really gotten out of reach of the average buyer. Then there's this. Say hello to the Kawasaki Vaquero, and today we're going to review it. Hey guys, I'm Alan. You're watching the Fireman Rides. So what makes a bagger? Bagger is a cruiser that doesn't have a big back on it, but it's designed for cruising. For around $20,000, you get a 1700cc V-twin. You get hard bags. You get a fairing that's mounted to the frame. You get cruise control. You get belt drive. You get all the stuff that you need to comfortably cruise across the country. So today, I'm not going to try to answer the question, is the Vaquero a good motorcycle? Because it is. I'm going to try to answer a much more important question. Is spending another $10,000 over the $20,000 that this bike costs, is it getting you that much better of a motorcycle or just a much more expensive one? If you've watched my channel before and you've watched some of my reviews, you know that I don't really do a scoring system. You know that I'm not big on specs, but what I do is I like to, again, I make videos that I would want to watch. So, and when I'm making a buying decision, I kind of ask myself some questions. And I really love the 10-question format. And that's how we're going to approach this motorcycle right here. So again, we're going to ask the question, does $10,000 over this price right here get you a better motorcycle or just a more expensive one? So before we get started, if you see anything that you like, comment, subscribe. Let's throw our gloves on, let's throw our gear on, and let's go for a ride. All right, so question number one. What do you actually get for roughly MSRP of $20,000, $19,489, or you know, whatever actually that number is? Rounding error, $20,000. Do you get a big old stonking V-twin? Check. Do you get cruise control? Check. Do you get a frame-mounted fairing? Check. Do you get a sound system? Check. Do you get lockable hard bags? Check. We got those too. Do you get a belt drive like you get on some other models? Check. You get those too. Do you get a bike that's been produced for years and has just been refined to the absolute hilt? Yes. Check. You get that too. So for the money that you're going to spend, and again, your MSRP $20,000, and this particular model you can be had for a lot less than that, and we'll discuss that in a bit. But for $20,000, you get a 1700cc V-twin. You get linked brake system that actually works really, really good. You get this cool kind of combination of analog and digital displays, and the whole system works really well. You get a fairing that while the wind protection on the interstate's not great, on stuff like this, it's really, really good. And it's easy to change this little small fairing up here if you wanted to put something bigger for the wintertime. Yes, you could do that too. So you get buckets of torque with your V-twin. You get some good electronics. You get cruise control. You get all this stuff. And for the money, I really think the value is there for everything that you get on this model. And that's standalone, but then that's also compared to the other bikes in this category. This V-twin though, man, this V-twin, this big old 1700cc V-twin, it's not about horsepower. I mean, does it make good horsepower? Yes. But the thing is torque. This thing is just so incredibly torquey that this motor just chugs at any RPM. So to answer to question number one, what do you get for your $20,000? You get a lot. You get a lot of stuff for your $20,000. Now, when I said before about this particular bike, so again, this is a 2025 Kawasaki Vaquero, courtesy of my friends at Team Charlotte Motorsports. Team Charlotte Motorsports, one of the best dealers in the Charlotte market. Go see those guys, flying rides, all that stuff. Fly into Charlotte Douglas International Airport, hop on your Vaquero, and ride it anywhere in the world, anywhere in the country, anywhere in the continental North American continent. How about that? So this particular Vaquero has actually been marked down. Again, this is a 2025 model. Hadn't really changed anything since, God, what, 2011, so when they introduced this bike. This is not a $20,000 bike. This bike is marked down. Now, again, as of the recording of this video. Now, this is mid-July 2026. Future people watching this, I cannot promise you that price will stay the same. They'll honor any more other ones or anything else. But this particular one, $16,800. So, was it a value at $20,000? Yes. Is it a hell of a bargain at $16,800? Absolutely, it's a hell of a bargain at that price. So what do you get for your $20,000? You get a lot. What do you get for $16,800? You get all that same stuff with some money in your pocket. Now, comparing that to the competition, that's half the price. That's truly, truly half the price of what you're going to pay for one of the other brands that makes a very similar bagger style motorcycle. Oh, there's some leaves. Already leaves falling. Mid-July, we already got leaves falling? Ooh, gotta break out the pumpkin spice. Basic bitches, yeah! Oh, I love this little curve right here. Oh, this thing just chugs. Question number two. Does it feel like a $20,000 motorcycle? Or let me rephrase that. Take the actual price out. Does it feel like a premium motorcycle? So let's start with the paint. This paint is called metallic, brilliant golden black. And usually I'm not a fan of like big old 4-word names to describe a color. But this one actually kind of matches because it's, again, in some lights it looks gold. Other lights it looks black. But it's like this golden black metallic that's just, it's just a really cool color. Now that's the only color offered, so I hope you like it. But it's just like I don't see bikes like that colored very often. And more importantly, you get that color all the way around. So it's not just on the outside of the bike. You get it on the inside of this fairing right here. You get to enjoy that same color. Now, is it as striking as some of the other colors that have been offered in this bike over the years, like the red? They made a red color version of this that was just stunning. No, it's not as flashy as those, but it's also, I think it's a color that would wear better and age better than what that red would. That red is kind of like, look at me, whereas this one's more of like a mature, just kind of like, hey, yes, I am a beautiful bike. I am a Vaquero. Get off my lawn. Oh, tree fell on the road. Hello, tree. Hello. Yes, that's a big stick. Walk tall, carry a big stick. All right, Teddy Roosevelt. My man. So as far as the paint, the quality of the paint is top notch. The chrome, the little bit of chrome that's on this bike, it has a really good color to it. The switch gear is nice and tactile. There's a lot of buttons here, but everything's nice and laid out. It doesn't have a ton of technology. You got your high beam here, you got your horn here. Let's listen to her horn. That's a weak horn. I'd expect a big bike like this to have a gull wing horn, like, roar. Talk to me, damn it. The pipes look good. They're a little quiet, but they look good. But the fit and finish, the radio is actually really nice. Now, again, you don't have a lot of the features that, again, when you compare it to a $30,000 bike like a Road Glide or one of Indian's premium baggers, it's not going to have those features. But again, at the MSRP, it's 2/3 the price. And then specifically with this motorcycle, it's closer, not there, but closer to half the price. So are you giving up some things? Yes. Am I okay with that? Yes. So question number 2, does it feel like a $20,000 motorcycle? Not only does it feel like a $20,000 motorcycle, it feels like a very premium motorcycle. You are missing out on some of the stuff, but for what really matters, this is a hell of a motorcycle. Question number 3, is the engine everything you would want and more in a touring motorcycle? Let's get on it. There's a lot of debris on the road. Holy crap, there's a lot of debris in the road. Yes, it is. So, again, the 1700cc liquid-cooled V-twin, this big old V-twin. Again, it's got a belt drive in the back, nice and smooth belt drive. It is a Kevlar belt in the back. We're only making 82 horsepower. That's not a big number, but we're making over 100 foot-pounds of torque, 108 foot-pounds of torque. And that power comes on so incredibly low in the rev range. And as far as the motor goes, again, is the motor the highlight of the bike? No. Is it a big old lazy V-twin that's just going to give you years and years of performance and not really demand much of anything? Yeah, I think it is. Now, again, it may not win anything on the spec sheet, but as far as how the power is delivered and how everything's laid down, I think it's a really good motor. Again, nice and smooth around these turns here. The fueling is nice and smooth as well. If you're used to sport bikes or even ADV bikes or anything else, are you going to be a little disappointed? Maybe. But as far as like the feel of the motor, man, this motor feels really, really good. So the answer to question number 3, is this engine everything that you would want in a touring bike? Yeah, I think it is. Question number 4, is it comfortable enough to ride all day? So when we talk about, all-day comfort, there's a lot of things that go into that. We're talking about wind protection. We're talking about ergonomics. We're talking about heat management. We're talking about the comfort of the seat. There's a lot of things that kind of go into, quote-unquote, all-day comfort. And yes, I think this motorcycle is. Would I want to put more than 500 miles a day on it? In stock configuration? No, probably not. The seat, I do think the seat does leave a little something to be desired. And, there is some heat. There's definitely some heat that comes off this motorcycle. There's no way around that. This thing does definitely put off some heat. And the wind protection, again, 90-something degree day, it's great. Interstate riding with this little shorty windscreen right here, that air kind of hits me right there. Hits me right at the opening of my visor. Now, again, if it's a 100-degree day and you want to get some air on your face, that's great. If it's a cooler day and you really would prefer to have that wind kind of, passing over top of you, then no, then the wind protection is not great. But as far as all-day comfort, again, put you a better seat on here. Address a couple of the minor things and kind of fit it to yourself. If you got a shorter torso, that wind's going right over top of your head. If you're taller, it's probably hitting you in the chest. Honestly, if you got a big long torso. So after you customize the motorcycle to yourself, then yes, I would definitely say this bike is all day comfortable. Now again, these lazy hills like this, these lazy turns. Second gear, you have tons and tons of torque. There's no need to go down to first. There's no need to go to third. Second gear will just pull you right out of these turns. So the answer to question number 4, is it all day comfortable? Yeah, it's definitely all day comfortable. And in addition to that, and this is something that I harp on a lot of motorcycles, cruise control. Cruise control was one of those things. It's one of the absolute best things I think has been added to motorcycles along with ABS over the last 20 years. Having cruise control on a motorcycle. Now, on roads like this, it ain't doing you much good. But if you're out, you're doing interstate, you're putting tons of miles on a bike, cruise control is an absolute godsend. It's one where you can set it. Again, like I said, if you've got issues with your right hand, like I said, my right wrist, for whatever reason, I get it, my right hand starts to go numb after, a couple hours of riding a motorcycle and leaving my hand in this position right here. Having cruise control, again, not on roads like this, but you can set that and you can take that hand off and you can just kind of, that's one less thing you got to worry about, especially like I said, you've got a lot of miles to cover. And if you're riding a motorcycle like this, you're probably going to be covering a lot of miles. So in addition to everything else, cruise control makes this bike all day comfortable. Hey, V85 TT, represent. Moto Guzzi. I mean, to show you what a melting pot our country is there anything more American than a Japanese motorcycle that's named after a Mexican cowboy? God bless America. Woo! Now, here is a cool feature of your Kawasaki Vaquero. The key, it's in the on position. I can remove it. And the on position. Leave everything on, and then access my gas cap. Ain't that some stuff? You can leave that on all day long. How cool is that? All right, so question number 5. Can an 845-pound motorcycle handle twisty roads? Well, we're now on the Blue Ridge Parkway. We got about a section, this is right outside of Little Switzerland. We got about a section about 6 miles long that we can play with here. And we got some good twisty roads. And let's go find out. Let's answer that question. Can a big old motorcycle like this handle twisty roads? And after riding them for a while, I can already tell you the answer is yes. So yes, while this motorcycle, it is a big motorcycle, it's so flickable. Let's get through this turn here. It's so flickable and agile in the turns, so much so that I find myself actually kind of oversteering a little bit with it. You see it. I mean, this thing just absolutely moves, but pretty damn nimble. It reminds me of like Chris Farley on Saturday Night Live. He was a big guy, and big guys shouldn't be able to move that gracefully. But man, he could dance, he could move. He could, when he dressed up like Patrick Swayze. That's what this motorcycle reminds me of. It's Chris Farley as Patrick Swayze. It looks big, but it actually can dance a little bit. So the answer to question number 5: can an 845-pound motorcycle move? Yeah, it can move. All right, so question number 6 leads right into question number 6. How good is the wind protection? How good is the suspension? And how good are the brakes? Well, let's find out. So let's test out our brakes now. These are not huge brake rotors in the front. I mean, they didn't give us giant brake rotors in the front. There's nobody behind us, so let's do a quick panic stop here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Damn, that thing will stop. That thing will stop. Now, I tell you what, coming down this road here and doing what we're doing here, the KACT, the Kawasaki link brake system, I'm not using the front brake. I'm just using the rear brake. And like I said, it's still activating the front brakes for me. This is a great, look at all those beehives. It's a lot of beehives. This is a great braking system. It really is. Like I said, I'm not even touching that front brake. I don't have to. The link braking system is fantastic on this motorcycle. All I'm using is this big old foot pedal right there, and that's doing all my braking, but I can feel it, and there's no dive either. Remember what we showed you, that big old brake rotor in the back. There's a reason for that, because Kawasaki is using just as much of the rear brake as they are the front. So you're not getting that dive that you would traditionally think about from a big motorcycle like this. BMW, they have their anti-dive system. Honda with their Goldwing, they have a system for anti-dive, but those are complex systems. Kawasaki says, you know what, we can accomplish the same thing, but we're going to do it with the rear brake and use that in conjunction with the front brakes to keep that front end from diving. So watch here, let's come around a curve here. Let's come around a curve here. Look, I'm going to slam on brakes right here. That front does not dive. That front end does not dive at all, and that's because of that linked braking system. Guys, that's a great system. And don't sleep on that right there. That's a very, very underrated system right there. Watch this here, straight away. Slam on brakes. Look at that. All rear brake. Not even touching the front. That's a great system right there. It really is.
All right, question number 7. Where did Kawasaki cut corners? Now, again, when you compare this to the competition, and those come in at a good $10,000+ more, how did Kawasaki, if they're given spec for spec, how do they come in so much cheaper? And they did. I mean, they definitely did. And there's some definitely cost-cutting measures. And things that 10 years ago on this bike would have been an absolute premium, but today you're like, meh. And if you're someone who, look, I need the latest and greatest. I need all the technology. I need Apple CarPlay. I need, radar cruise control. I need all of the stuff. I need my bike to sing, "Oh, come all ye faithful." This might not be your motorcycle. But what they did is that, they might have cut some things out, but they still gave you all of the stuff that you need, but they didn't give you all the stuff that you want. That's actually a great way of putting it right there. So we're going to pull over this little overlook right up here, and we're going to talk about it. Like I said, does the engine make the most horsepower in the category? No. Could they make more power out of this motor? Yeah, they could, but then they'd have to charge more. Is this display system kind of outdated a little bit? Yeah, it is. Could they put a really cool TFT on there? Yeah, they could. Will they have to charge more? Yeah, they would.
So the answer to question number 7 is, what are you giving up? Not a lot. Now, if having a dealer network that is more of a destination and a party than it is a place to get service and parts, if integrated Apple CarPlay, if having access to a larger aftermarket, if having a motorcycle kind of be your identity more than just something to enjoy, then maybe an Indian and maybe a Harley is going to be for you. But if you're that practical person that says, you know what, I don't need that stuff. I don't need Apple CarPlay. I don't need the Daymaker lights, that make literally will blind squirrels and deer. And you just want a good motorcycle that gives you all of the main things that those other motorcycles give you, but at 2/3 or maybe even close to half the price, then this is your bike right here. So question number 8. Are those other bikes that we've discussed, are they worth an additional $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000? And the short answer after riding this bike for the day is no, they're not. The long answer is still no, but for a couple different reasons. Was there any time riding this bike today that I felt like another $10,000 worth of stuff would have made the riding experience any better? And again, the answer is no. Would Apple CarPlay, would it have been nice? Yeah. Would XM radio, Sirius XM radio been nice? Yeah. Would, a brighter headlight have been nice when I was, riding it to the gym at 4 o'clock this morning? Yeah, those things would have been nice. But I don't think they're really worth the additional amount of money. Again, if you're a brand first, I drive a Ford Raptor because it's the best. I ride a Harley because it's the best. My wife has big fake boobs because they're the best. Then no, this is not going to be your motorcycle. But if you're more practical, then this is a bike you should definitely take a look at. If you're wanting a bagger, but you don't care about the name, you don't collect t-shirts from different dealerships, around the country or whatever else, then this is your bike right here. But again, would have another $10,000 motorcycle on this ride that I'm doing today would have made that ride that much better? And the answer is no.
All right, so question number 9. Who should buy this motorcycle? So, let's go through that. So if you're somebody who values the value of the motorcycle over the logo that's on the tank, this is your bike.
If you're somebody who would rather spend the money on trips than on an additional motorcycle payment, this is your motorcycle. If you're somebody who keeps a motorcycle for a long time and you value reliability, this is your motorcycle right here. Now, you can't ask the question of who's it for without asking the question of who's it not for. And let's cover that. If you're somebody who does value the logo on the tank more than the value of the bike, this is not your bike. If you're someone who treats the dealership as a destination, not a place for service and for parts and everything else, this is not your bike. Now, the one caveat to that is Team Charlotte Motorsports. You go in there on a Saturday, that place is rocking. Hamburgers, hot dogs, all that good stuff. But that's one of not many Kawasaki dealerships that are like that. Harley builds their brand, and so does Indian to a lesser degree, on the dealer experience. I've got friends who ride Harleys, and man, they'll take a 2-day trip just to go visit another Harley dealership 1,000 miles away. You're not going to get that with many other brands. So if you're somebody who values the dealer experience more than anything else, then again, this is not your bike. If you want the latest and greatest in technology, this is not your bike. This bike doesn't have the Apple CarPlay. It doesn't have radar cruise control. It doesn't have that stuff. So if you're somebody who needs the latest and greatest in technology, again, this is not your bike. And if you're someone who absolutely loves to customize the motorcycle, the $30,000 I'm going to spend, that's just the beginning. I need to spend another $10,000 or $15,000, like a CVO from Harley or something like that. Then this is definitely not your bike. Is there aftermarket support for it? Yes. Is it to the level that you're going to find on a Harley or an Indian or something like that? Absolutely not. So question number 9. Who should buy this bike? Somebody who values practicality, reliability, a great brand, someone who doesn't need to spend twice as much to get it. But if you're somebody who the logo matters just as much, if not more, than the value of the motorcycle, then no, you shouldn't buy this bike. All right, so question number 10. Would I spend my own money on this motorcycle? And short answer is no, but the long answer is no, but let me explain. So again, for the price of this motorcycle, if I walked into Team Charlotte Motorsports and I said, hey, I want the absolute best value in a bagger cruiser, then this is where you're going to spend your money right here. Again, this particular motorcycle, Team Charlotte Motorsports. Now again, this is July 2026. This particular motorcycle is listed at $16,800. Now you got dealer fees and you got everything else on top of that. So you got to keep that in mind. But as far as value goes for what you're getting and the 1700cc V-twin cruise control, belt drive, all this stuff, it's a hell of a bargain, guys. And if I was in the market for a bagger cruiser, then yes, 100% I would buy this motorcycle. But like I said, that's not where I'm at in life right now. I actually just picked up a 2001 Goldwing, so that's kind of taken over my touring duties with my wife and everything else. But yes, if I was in the market for a cruiser or a bagger, this would be the bike right here to buy. And again, it's one of those where, unless you're in the know or unless you're a Kawasaki fanboy, you don't even know about the Vaquero. When you think of a bagger, you think of an Indian, you think of a Harley. You don't think of Kawasaki, but they made one of the absolute best baggers on the market for half the price of those other two brands. So if I was, the answer to question number 10, if I was in the market, then yeah, I would definitely buy it. Now, let's just enjoy some sights and sounds of this Kawasaki Vulcan Cowboy. Let's go. right, guys, so that brings us to our final verdict. So again, this is the Kawasaki Vaquero, 1700cc V-twin. You know, electronics are a little bit older. You don't get the Apple CarPlay. You don't get that. You don't get the stuff. You don't get the extra stuff. So the question we are trying to answer today is that does $10,000 get you that much better of a motorcycle, or just that much more expensive of a motorcycle? And after riding this bike for the day and asking the 10 questions, I really think we kind of came to the answer that honestly you're not giving up a lot, and for, you know, for 2/3 to half the price of what the competition's charging, guys, this is a hell of a value. And if you're interested in this bike, Team Charlotte Motorsports, Charlotte, North Carolina, Freedom Drive. If you're interested in this Kawasaki or any other Kawasaki or a Honda or a Suzuki or a Yamaha or a Polaris, Team Charlotte Motorsports. If you want personal watercraft, Team Charlotte Motorsports. If you want UTVs and ATVs and side-by-sides, Team Charlotte Motorsports. And if you're more at home in Switzerland than Little Switzerland, next door, T-Zero Cycle. They carry the Moto Guzzi and the Aprilias and the Vespas and the Piaggios. Anything European, you're going to find next door at T-Zero Cycle. Anything domestic or Japanese, you're going to find it at Team Charlotte Motorsports. So all those motorcycles, you're going to find them on Freedom Drive in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is 5 minutes from the Charlotte Douglas International Airport. You could ship your gear to the dealership and you could ride this here Kawasaki Vaquero, the Cowboy, home anywhere in the country. How freaking cool is that? Their information's right here, and it's gonna be down in the description, and I'm gonna link to this specific motorcycle on Team Charlotte Motorsports page, because like I said, this is a hell of a deal for what you're getting for this motorcycle. So if you see anything that you like, comment, and subscribe. Comment on the video if you have any experience with the Vaquero or any of the other Kawasaki's cruisers, or if you think Harley and Indian's just really that much better, put that down below. Let's start a conversation about it. And subscribe. Subscriptions are the absolute ultimate compliment to me every single time we get a subscription, and we're getting a lot of them here recently. It means that we're resonating and we've connected with another viewer, be it on the motorcycle reviews or their ADV bikes or the dual sports or whatever that it is that we're doing, we're connecting with somebody else. And I'm truly, truly blessed. And I truly thank every single one of you who subscribe to the channel. So thank you guys for watching. God bless, roll tide, and remember, tomorrow needs you. Thanks, guys.